You're on a camping trip with your friends. Your first time ever. You wander off to explore a little, taking it all in, and then you see it, a deer standing in the trees. So cute. You want to get closer, maybe even pet it. You take one slow step, and it's gone. Vanished into the trees like you fired a gun at it. You didn't do anything. You didn't shout. You're just a scrawny, average human in some plain clothes. No claws, no fangs. You couldn't catch that deer if you tried, and to be embarrassingly honest, in a fair fight, the deer would probably fold you like laundry. Am I that scary? You ask yourself. You pull out your phone, flip the camera around, and look at your own face and your arms, which could reasonably be mistaken for twigs. Nah, your friend says as you walk back to camp. Animals just run from humans on instinct. And he's right. They do. But that one throwaway line is hiding one of the wildest stories in the history of life on this planet. Because that deer wasn't being dramatic. That instinct your friend mentioned so casually, it's real, it's ancient, and it was carved into that animal by something genuinely terrifying. That something is us. So here's the real question. Why is basically every wild animal on Earth scared to death of a species that loses arm wrestles to geese? It's a strange thing when you actually think about it. Pound for pound, you are not impressive. You're slow. You're soft, and yet you might be the single most feared creature alive, as far as the animal kingdom is concerned. There's a reason for that, and it goes back a very, very long way. Let's start with how scared they actually are, because it's worse than you think. In 2023, a team of scientists led by biologist Liana Zanet ran an experiment in South Africa, in one of the largest lion populations left on the planet. They set up hidden speakers at waterholes and waited for animals to show up. Then they played different sounds, sometimes lions snarling, sometimes the sounds of a hunt, and sometimes just people. Regular human voices, talking calmly. The animals were twice as likely to run from the human voices than from the lions. They cleared out of the waterhole 40% faster, and this held for almost every animal they tested. Elephants, giraffes, rhinos, leopards, even the hyenas. Around 95% of species were more afraid of a human talking than of a lion, the apex predator they'd lived beside their entire lives. Sit with that. These animals heard an actual lion, the thing that hunts and eats them, and went, whatever. Then they heard a podcast and sprinted for their lives. So how did we pull that off? How did the soft, slow, furless primate become the thing that scares lions? It comes down to a few abilities so weird and so relentless that nothing in nature had any answer for them. The first one is hiding inside your own body, and you use it every time you go for a run. You sweat. That sounds like nothing. It's everything. Here's why. Every other big animal has a hard limit on how long it can move. A cheetah hits 70 miles an hour, but only for a few hundred meters, and then it has to flop down and recover for half an hour. A wildebeest will smoke you in a sprint. No contest. But sprinting builds up heat inside the body, and heat is the real enemy. Sooner or later, every animal has to stop and cool off, except us. We've got somewhere between 2 and 4 million sweat glands, more than any animal alive, and we lost almost all our fur, so that sweat sits right on bare skin and pulls the heat straight off us. The result is bizarre. A human can cool down and keep running at the same time. Everything else has to pick one. We don't. So in the heat of the day, when every other animal is forced to stop, we just keep coming. That's the basis of something called persistence hunting. It's documented among the Sand people of the Kalahari, written up by researcher Louis Liebenberg back in 2006. And the strategy is almost insultingly simple. You find an animal and you chase it. Not fast. You're never going to win a sprint, and you don't even try. You just jog after it through the hottest part of the day. Every time it stops to breathe, you show up, and it has to run again, and again, for hours, sometimes for 20 or 30 kilometers, until its body literally overheats and shuts down. Then you walk over and finish it. Think about how this feels from the animal's side. It does everything right. It runs, it's faster, it gets away clean. It finds some shade, starts to calm down, and then it looks up, and there you are, still coming. So it runs again, escapes again, and there you are again. It outran a predator. That's supposed to work. That's the whole deal. Nothing in millions of years of evolution prepared anything for a hunter that treats your daring escape as a minor scheduling delay and just keeps strolling toward you until you collapse. A cheetah quits after 30 seconds. We were the thing that does not quit. But endurance was only half of it. The other half was even harder to deal with because there was no way to see it coming. We could kill from far away. In Germany, archaeologists found the oldest complete hunting weapons on Earth. Wooden throwing spears, 6 to 8 feet long, shaped and balanced like javelins. They were lying next to the butchered bones of more than 20 horses. And this changed the entire game. Before spears, an animal only had to worry about things close enough to touch it. After spears, nothing was safe at any distance, and we kept upgrading. Spear throwers came along that flung those spears harder and farther. Then bow and arrows. Each one stretched the kill range out further. A lion has to get close. A wolf pack has to surround you. A human just stands 100 meters away behind a bush and ends you before you even knew a human was there. This broke something fundamental. For millions of years, prey animals survived by detecting danger up close. The sound, the smell, the movement of a predator nearby. None of that helps you against something that kills you from far away, downwind, in total silence. Every alarm system they'd ever evolved was suddenly useless. And you can see exactly what happened next, written into the fossil record of entire continents. Everywhere humans showed up, the big animals vanished. In Australia, giant kangaroos, marsupial lions, and a lizard the size of a car had survived ice age after ice age for millions of years, and collapsed soon after humans arrived. In North America, mammoths, mastodons, giant ground sloths, and bears bigger than any alive today disappeared in what is basically a geological blink, right as humans spread across the continent. In New Zealand, a giant bird called the moa, some standing 12 feet tall, was wiped out within a couple centuries of people landing there. The pattern is so clean that one archaeologist summed it up simply. Humans move somewhere new, and the giant animals die. Scientists still argue about how much was hunting versus changing climate, but the timing lines up everywhere, on every continent, every single time. And here's the tell. The animals that survived longest were the ones in Africa, which makes perfect sense because African animals had grown up alongside us. Elephants, rhinos, lions, they had hundreds of thousands of years to slowly learn the lesson, generation by generation, that the upright ape with the sticks is to be avoided at all costs. The animals everywhere else got no such warning. There's a term for them, naive prey, animals that had never met a human and had no instinct to fear one. An elephant in Africa runs from a human voice because every ancestor that didn't run got removed from the gene pool. But a mammoth in North America, 13,000 years ago, had none of that history. It probably watched the little two-legged creatures walk up with mild curiosity. That curiosity was the last thing it ever felt. So that fear you saw in the deer, that instant panic, it isn't really about you. It's a memory. It's hundreds of thousands of years of encounters with the deadliest hunter the planet has ever produced, burned so deep into the nervous system of every surviving animal that they're born already afraid. And the strangest part is what made us so deadly in the first place. It wasn't strength, we weren't strong. We were patient, relentless, and clever in ways nothing else had ever been. We hunted in coordinated groups. We built tools that reached further than any claw. We ran things to death in the sun, and we taught the next generation everything we knew. So every batch of hunters was deadlier than the last. No other predator does that. No other predator learns. A lion today hunts exactly the way lions hunted a million years ago, limited by its body, its speed, its jaws. We were limited by nothing but our own ideas. And our ideas kept getting better. A 6-ton elephant still backs away from the smell of a human. A lion still retreats from a human voice. A deer still bolts at the snap of a twig in a forest no one has hunted in for decades. None of that was taught by a single scary encounter. It was carved in over thousands of generations the hard way, by all the ones that didn't run. They learned to be afraid of us, and every animal that's still around today is descended from the ones that were smart enough to run. They weren't wrong to. They still aren't.